Hello and welcome back to Midnight Mind. It's good to have you here again. Tonight we're exploring something different, something quieter, something internal. Tonight we're talking about meditation, about stillness, about the practice of simply being, not doing, not achieving, not striving, just being, present, aware, still. Meditation is ancient, has been practiced for thousands of years across countless cultures, and yet it's also modern, relevant, supported by contemporary science, studied in laboratories, measured in brain scanners, validated by research. Tonight we'll explore what meditation is, what it does, why it works, and how it connects to the most fundamental aspects of being human, of being conscious, of being alive. Meditation is simple, remarkably simple. Sit quietly, pay attention. That's it. That's the essence, the core practice. Everything else is elaboration, refinement. Different traditions have different methods, different techniques, different focuses. But at the heart, meditation is simple. You sit, you pay attention, you notice what's happening in your awareness. You don't try to change it. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to make it different. You just notice, just observe, just be present with whatever is. This simplicity is deceptive. Simple doesn't mean easy. Sitting quietly sounds easy, but try it. Try sitting still for even 5 minutes, doing nothing, just being present, just aware. It's harder than it sounds. Your mind wanders, your body fidgets, thoughts arise constantly, distractions multiply. Sitting still, doing nothing, just being present, is one of the hardest things humans do. And yet it's simple. The instructions are simple. The practice is simple. The difficulty comes not from complexity, but from going against habit, against the constant doing that fills most of life. And meditation doesn't require belief, doesn't require faith, doesn't require accepting any religious doctrine or philosophical system. You don't have to believe in anything, don't have to convert to Buddhism or Hinduism, don't have to accept any claims about reincarnation or karma or enlightenment. You can approach meditation entirely secularly, entirely practically, as a technique, as a practice, as something you do because it produces results. Results you can observe, benefits you can measure, changes you can experience. Meditation works regardless of your beliefs, works for atheists and agnostics, works for Christians and Muslims and Jews, works for people of any faith or no faith. Because meditation isn't about belief, it's about practice, about what you do, about training attention, about cultivating awareness. These things work regardless of what you believe. Meditation is training for the mind. Just as exercise trains the body, meditation trains the mind, strengthens certain mental capacities, attention, awareness, equanimity, the ability to observe without reacting, the capacity to be present without being swept away by thoughts and emotions. These are skills, capacities, abilities that can be trained, developed, strengthened through practice. Your mind isn't fixed, isn't unchangeable. The brain is plastic, neuroplastic, changes in response to experience, in response to practice. And meditation is practice, systematic practice, regular training. That changes the brain, strengthens certain neural pathways, weakens others, creates measurable structural changes. Meditation trains the mind, changes the brain, develops capacities that improve life, reduce suffering, increase well-being. This isn't mystical, isn't magical, it's training, practice, development of skill through repetition. The most common form of meditation is focused attention. You choose an object of attention, usually the breath, and you focus on it. Pay attention to the sensation of breathing, the feeling of air moving in and out, the rise and fall of the chest or abdomen. That's your anchor, your focus, your object of attention. And inevitably, your mind wanders. Within seconds, usually, a thought arises. You follow it, get lost in it. Forget you were meditating, forget you were paying attention to breath. You're lost in thought, planning, remembering, worrying, imagining, lost. And then, eventually, you notice. You realize you're lost in thought. You've wandered away from the breath. And this noticing, this realization, this awareness that you've wandered, This is the key moment. This is where the training happens. You notice you've wandered, and you bring attention back, gently, without judgment, without criticism. Just return attention to the breath, to the sensation of breathing. And then you wander again, and notice again, and return again, over and over, hundreds of times in a single session. This is the practice, not maintaining perfect focus, but noticing when you've wandered and returning. This is what trains attention, what strengthens awareness, what develops the capacity to notice your own mental state and consciously redirect it. This process seems trivial, seems too simple to be effective, but research shows otherwise. Brain scans of experienced meditators show measurable differences, structural changes in the brain. The prefrontal cortex, involved in attention and self-regulation, becomes thicker, more developed. The amygdala, involved in fear and stress responses, becomes less reactive, shows less activation in response to stressors. The default mode network, involved in mind-wandering and self-referential thinking, shows different patterns of activity. These changes are measurable, quantifiable, real. Meditation changes the brain, not through magic, not through mysticism, but through practice, through training, through the systematic development of mental capacities that strengthen certain neural pathways and weaken others. And these brain changes correspond to real-world benefits. Meditators report lower stress, less anxiety, better mood, improved focus, greater emotional regulation, better relationships, increased sense of well-being. These aren't just subjective impressions. They're validated by research, studies using questionnaires, behavioral measures, physiological markers. Meditation produces measurable improvements across multiple domains, reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, lowers blood pressure, improves immune function, reduces inflammation, improves sleep quality, increases positive emotions, decreases negative emotions, improves attention, enhances working memory, increases compassion and empathy. The list goes on. The benefits are broad, diverse, well-documented. Meditation works, produces real benefits, measurable improvements in mental and physical health. There's something deeply peaceful about this knowledge, about knowing that you can train your mind, can change your brain, can develop capacities that reduce suffering and increase well-being. You're not stuck, not fixed, not trapped with whatever mental patterns you currently have. You can change, can grow, can develop through practice, through training, through the simple act of sitting quietly and paying attention. This is empowering. This is hopeful. This means that change is possible, that improvement is achievable, that you have agency over your own mental state, your own well-being, your own experience of life, through meditation, through practice, through training. Meditation creates space, space between stimulus and response, space between thought and action, space between emotion and reaction. Normally, life happens fast. Something occurs, you react, instantly, automatically, without thought, without choice. Someone criticizes you, you feel defensive, you react. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you feel angry, you react. Something reminds you of a worry, you feel anxious, you spiral. It all happens so fast, so automatically. There's no space, no gap, no moment of choice. Stimulus leads directly to reaction, but meditation changes this, creates space, creates a gap, a moment, a pause, between what happens and how you respond. You still notice the stimulus, still feel the emotion, but there's space, a moment where you can observe, can notice, can choose whether to react, choose how to respond, choose whether to follow the thought or let it go. This space is freedom, real freedom. The freedom to choose your response rather than being controlled by automatic reactions. This space comes from awareness, from the capacity to observe your own mental processes, to notice thoughts as thoughts, emotions as emotions, rather than being completely identified with them, completely lost in them. Normally, when a thought arises, you become it. You are that thought. There's no distinction, no separation. But meditation trains a different relationship, trains the capacity to observe thoughts, to notice them as mental events, as phenomena arising in consciousness, not as truth, not as reality, not as who you are, just as thoughts, mental events, arising and passing. This capacity to observe thoughts without being identified with them creates space, creates the possibility of choice, of responding rather than reacting, of freedom. The breath is the most common anchor for meditation, the object of attention, the focus point. Because breath has unique properties, breath is always present, always happening. You're breathing right now. You'll be breathing in 5 minutes, in an hour. As long as you're alive, you're breathing. So breath is always available as an object of attention, always there, always accessible. Breath is also neutral, doesn't carry emotional charge, doesn't trigger associations the way other objects might. Breath is just breath, simple, neutral, safe, and breath connects mind and body. Breathing is both automatic and voluntary, happens without conscious control, but can also be consciously controlled, can be changed intentionally. This makes breath a bridge, a connection point between conscious and unconscious, between voluntary and involuntary, between mind and body. And breath reflects mental state. When you're anxious, breath is fast and shallow. When you're calm, breath is slow and deep. When you're focused, breath is steady. When you're agitated, breath is irregular. Breath and mind are connected, influence each other. This means you can use breath both ways, can observe breath to understand mental state, and can change breath to change mental state. Slowing breath calms the mind. Deepening breath relaxes the body. Steadying breath improves focus. This bidirectional relationship makes breath ideal for meditation, both as object of observation and as tool for regulation. Watching breath sounds simple, but actually doing it reveals complexity. When you first try to pay attention to breath, you might not even notice what breathing actually feels like. Where do you feel it most? Nose, chest, abdomen? What's the actual sensation? Cool air entering nostrils, warmth exiting, expansion of the chest, movement of the belly? When you actually try to observe breath carefully, you discover there's much more to notice than you realized. Breath isn't a single sensation, it's a complex pattern of sensations, changing moment to moment, breath to breath, each inhalation slightly different from the last, each exhalation unique. There's endless detail, endless subtlety, endless variation. You could spend years observing breath and still discover new things, new details, new patterns, new subtleties. This makes breath endlessly interesting as an object of attention, never boring, always new, always fresh, always something to notice. The wandering mind is not a failure. This is crucial to understand, crucial to accept. Your mind will wander, constantly, hundreds of times per session. This is not a problem, not a failure, not a sign you're doing it wrong. This is normal. This is what minds do. Minds wander, minds think, minds generate thoughts constantly. This is their nature. The practice isn't to stop thoughts, isn't to achieve a blank mind, isn't to maintain perfect focus for minutes on end. The practice is to notice when you've wandered and to return. That's it. That's the practice. The wandering is expected. The noticing is the training. The returning is the development. Every time you notice you've wandered, you're succeeding. You're doing it right. You're training awareness, strengthening the capacity to observe your own mental state. This noticing, this recognition that you've been lost in thought, this moment of metacognitive awareness, this is where the benefit comes from. This is what changes the brain, not maintaining perfect focus, but the repeated act of noticing and returning. And there's no need for judgment, no need for criticism, no need to berate yourself for wandering, to get frustrated, to think you're failing. Wandering is not failure. It's expected. It's normal. It's part of the process. The instruction is simple. When you notice you've wandered, return, gently, kindly, without judgment. Just return attention to breath, and you'll wander again, and notice again, and return again, with gentleness, with patience, with kindness toward yourself. This attitude of non-judgment is itself part of the training, part of what meditation cultivates. The capacity to observe without judging, to notice without criticizing, to be present with whatever is without trying to change it, without wishing it were different. This acceptance, this non-judgment, this gentle allowing of things to be as they are, this extends beyond meditation, becomes a way of relating to life, to yourself, to others, to everything. Body scan meditation shifts focus from breath to body. Instead of attending to breathing, you systematically move attention through the body, usually starting at the feet, noticing whatever sensations are present there. Pressure, temperature, tingling, tension, whatever is there, not trying to change it, not trying to relax, just noticing, just observing, just being present with whatever sensations are in the feet, and then moving attention to ankles, to calves, to knees, to thighs, gradually working through the entire body, legs, pelvis, abdomen, chest, back, shoulders, arms, hands, neck, face, head, systematically scanning through the body, bringing awareness to each region, noticing whatever is present there. This practice develops body awareness, the capacity to notice bodily sensations, to be present with the body, to feel what's happening physically. Most people are disconnected from their bodies, live primarily in their heads, in thoughts, in mental activity. The body is ignored, taken for granted, only noticed when something hurts, when something goes wrong. This disconnection has consequences. You miss signals, misinformation the body is providing about stress, about fatigue, about emotion. The body communicates constantly through sensation, through tension, through breathing patterns, through posture. But if you're not paying attention, you miss these signals. Don't notice until problems become acute, until pain demands attention. Body scan meditation reconnects you to your body, trains the capacity to notice bodily sensations, to be aware of physical experience, to receive the information your body is constantly providing. This body awareness has practical benefits. You notice tension earlier, before it becomes pain, before it becomes chronic. You notice the physical signs of stress, the tight shoulders, the clenched jaw, the shallow breathing. And noticing these early, you can respond, can consciously relax, can breathe more deeply, can release tension before it accumulates. This prevents problems, reduces pain, improves physical health. Body awareness also connects you to emotion. Emotions are physical, are felt in the body. Anxiety manifests as tightness in the chest, as butterflies in the stomach. Anger manifests as heat, as tension. Sadness manifests as heaviness, as fatigue. When you're aware of bodily sensations, you're more aware of emotions, can notice them earlier, can recognize what you're feeling. This emotional awareness improves regulation, improves the capacity to respond skillfully to emotions rather than being overwhelmed by them. Loving kindness meditation cultivates positive emotions, cultivates kindness, compassion, warmth, goodwill. The practice is simple. You bring to mind someone you care about, someone you love, and you direct kind wishes toward them. Phrases like, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you be at peace. You repeat these phrases while holding the person in mind, while feeling whatever warmth or care arises. This isn't pretending, isn't forcing. You're working with natural feelings of care and kindness, bringing them to mind, focusing on them, strengthening them. You start with someone easy, someone you naturally feel warmth toward, and then gradually expand. Include yourself, include neutral people, include difficult people, include all beings. The circle of kindness expands, becomes more inclusive, more universal. Research on loving kindness meditation shows remarkable results. Even brief practice, just a few weeks, produces measurable changes. Practitioners report increased positive emotions, more happiness, more joy, more contentment, more love, more gratitude, more awe. These increases aren't trivial, aren't small. The effect sizes are substantial, and the positive emotions accumulate, build on each other, create upward spirals. More positive emotion leads to better social connections. Better connections lead to more positive experiences. More positive experiences lead to more positive emotions. The cycle continues, builds, creates lasting increases in well-being. Loving kindness meditation also increases compassion, increases the felt sense of connection to others, increases pro-social behavior. People become kinder, more helpful, more generous, more patient. These aren't just internal changes. They manifest in behavior, in relationships, in how people treat others. And loving kindness meditation affects the brain. Brain scans show increased activity in regions associated with empathy and positive emotion. The insula, involved in emotional awareness and empathy, shows increased activation. The anterior cingulate cortex, involved in emotional regulation and compassion, shows increased activity. These changes occur even in beginners, even after brief practice. The brain responds quickly to loving kindness meditation, becomes more attuned to positive emotions, more responsive to suffering, more capable of compassion, and these neural changes correspond to the behavioral changes, to the increased kindness and compassion and connection that practitioners report. There's something beautiful about this, about the possibility of cultivating positive emotions through practice, through intention, through directed attention. You're not stuck with whatever emotional patterns you currently have, aren't limited to your default emotional state. You can change, can develop, can cultivate kindness and compassion and joy through practice, through meditation, through the systematic directing of attention and intention toward positive emotions. This is hopeful. This is empowering. This means that emotional well-being is developable, is trainable, is within your capacity to cultivate. Mindfulness is awareness of present moment experience, without judgment, without trying to change it, just noticing, just observing, just being present with whatever is. Mindfulness can be practiced formally, in meditation, sitting quietly, paying attention to breath or body or sounds or thoughts. Or mindfulness can be practiced informally during daily activities, eating mindfully, walking mindfully, washing dishes mindfully. Any activity can become an opportunity for mindfulness, for present moment awareness, for noticing what's actually happening rather than being lost in thoughts about past or future. The opposite of mindfulness is automatic pilot, going through life on autopilot, not really present, not really aware, lost in thoughts, lost in plans and memories and worries, doing things without noticing, eating without tasting, walking without seeing, talking without listening, living in your head instead of in your life. Autopilot is efficient, allows you to do routine tasks without conscious attention, frees up mental resources for other things, but autopilot also means you miss your life, miss the actual experience of living, miss the richness of direct experience, miss the details and textures and flavors and sensations that make up actual life. You're physically present, but mentally absent, going through motions without actually experiencing. Mindfulness brings you back, returns you to direct experience, to actual life, to this moment, to what's actually happening rather than what you're thinking about. When you eat mindfully, you taste, really taste, notice flavors, notice textures, notice the actual experience of eating. When you walk mindfully, you feel your feet on the ground, feel your body moving, notice your surroundings, see what's actually there rather than being lost in thoughts. When you're mindful in conversation, you listen, really listen, hear what the other person is saying, notice their expressions, their tone. Respond to what's actually happening rather than to what you're thinking about. Mindfulness makes life richer, more vivid, more real, because you're actually present for it, actually experiencing it rather than thinking about it. And mindfulness changes your relationship to thoughts. Normally, you're identified with thoughts. You are your thoughts. A thought arises and you believe it. You follow it. You become it. There's no distance, no separation. But mindfulness creates distance, creates the capacity to observe thoughts, as mental events, as phenomena arising in consciousness, not as truth, not as reality, not as who you are. When you're mindful, you notice thinking is happening, a thought is present, rather than this thought is true and I must believe it or follow it or act on it. This distinction is profound. This distance is freedom, because thoughts lose their automatic control, their power to pull you into rumination or worry or automatic reaction. You see them as what they are: mental events, arising and passing in awareness, not commands, not truths, not reality, just thoughts. This capacity to observe thoughts without being identified with them is perhaps the most valuable skill meditation develops. Most suffering comes from identification with thoughts, from believing thoughts, from following thoughts down paths of rumination and worry and self-criticism. Anxious thoughts lead to anxiety spirals. Depressive thoughts lead to depressive rumination. Angry thoughts lead to anger and conflict. When you're identified with thoughts, when you believe them automatically, they control you, determine your emotional state, determine your behavior. But when you can observe thoughts as thoughts, when you can notice them without automatically believing or following them, you have choice. You can recognize an anxious thought as just an anxious thought, a mental event, not a truth about the future, not reality, just a thought, and you can choose not to follow it, can choose to return attention to present moment instead, can choose a different response. This is freedom, real freedom, liberation from automatic mental patterns. Meditation doesn't eliminate thoughts, doesn't stop the mind, doesn't create a blank, peaceful void. This is a common misconception. People begin meditation expecting to achieve a thoughtless state, to stop thinking, to make the mind quiet. And when this doesn't happen, when thoughts keep arising constantly, they conclude they're failing. They can't meditate. It's not working. But this expectation is wrong. Meditation isn't about stopping thoughts, isn't about achieving thoughtlessness. Thoughts will arise constantly, thousands of thoughts per meditation session. This is normal. This is expected. This is not a problem. The point isn't to stop thoughts. The point is to change your relationship to thoughts, to observe them rather than being identified with them, to notice them rather than believing them automatically, to see them as mental events rather than as reality. This shift in relationship is what matters, not whether thoughts are present or absent. The mind produces thoughts. This is what minds do. Like the heart pumps blood and the lungs breathe air and the stomach digests food, the mind produces thoughts. This is its function, its nature. Trying to stop the mind from thinking is like trying to stop the heart from beating. It's fighting against the natural function of the organ. It's unnecessary. It's misguided. You don't need a thoughtless mind. You need a different relationship to the thinking mind, a relationship of observation rather than identification, of awareness rather than automatic belief, of spaciousness rather than being caught. This relationship develops through practice, through meditation, through repeatedly noticing thoughts and returning attention to present moment, to breath, to body, to whatever your object of meditation is. Each time you notice and return, you strengthen this observational stance, this metacognitive awareness, this capacity to be aware of your own mental processes rather than being completely lost in them. Meditation is not relaxation. This is another common misconception. People come to meditation seeking relaxation, seeking calm, seeking peace, seeking to feel good. And sometimes meditation does produce these states, does lead to relaxation and calm and pleasant feelings. But this is not the goal, not the point, not what meditation is about. Meditation is about awareness, about being present with whatever is, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, calm or agitated, peaceful or turbulent. The practice is to be present with what actually is, not to create a particular state, not to feel a particular way, but to be aware of whatever state is present. This distinction is crucial. If you come to meditation seeking relaxation, seeking to feel good, you'll be disappointed much of the time, because often meditation is not relaxing. Often you sit with discomfort, with restlessness, with difficult emotions, with physical pain, with mental agitation. And the practice is not to escape these, not to get rid of them, but to be present with them, to observe them, to learn from them. This might sound unappealing. Why practice something that's not even relaxing? Why sit with discomfort? But this is precisely where the value lies. In learning to be present with difficulty, in learning that you can tolerate discomfort, that you don't need to avoid or escape or fix everything unpleasant, that you can simply be present with whatever arises. This capacity, this willingness to be present with difficulty, this is what reduces suffering. Not the avoidance of difficulty, but the capacity to be with it, to meet it with awareness rather than resistance. Resistance to pain creates suffering, the pain itself plus the struggle against it. But presence with pain, awareness of pain without resistance reduces suffering. The pain remains, but the struggle ends. The added layer of suffering from resistance dissolves. And paradoxically, this non-seeking, this letting go of trying to feel good often leads to feeling better. When you stop trying to force relaxation, stop trying to create calm, stop trying to feel a particular way, there's a release, a letting go, an easing. The tension of trying dissolves. And often, in that dissolution, peace arises, calm emerges, not because you created it, not because you achieved it, but because you stopped preventing it, stopped blocking it with effortful trying. This is the paradox of meditation. The more you try to achieve a particular state, the more elusive it becomes. But when you let go of trying, when you simply be present with what is, the states you were seeking often arise naturally, spontaneously, as a byproduct of presence rather than as an achievement of effort. Meditation reveals the nature of mind through direct observation, not through theory, not through belief, but through looking, through noticing, through paying attention to your own direct experience. And what you discover is surprising. The mind is not a single thing, not a unified entity. It's a process, a flow, a stream of mental events, thoughts arising, sensations appearing, emotions forming, all of it arising and passing in awareness, constantly changing, never static, never the same for 2 consecutive moments. You can't step in the same mind twice. It's always different, always new, always changing. And there's no separate you watching this, no little person inside your head observing the mental stream. There's just awareness, awareness of mental events. Thoughts are aware of themselves. Sensations know themselves. There's knowing, but no separate knower. This is hard to grasp intellectually, hard to accept. We're so used to feeling like there's a me in here, a self, an observer, an experiencer, something permanent and continuous that persists through all experiences. But meditation reveals this self is also a construct, also a thought, also arising in awareness. When you look for the self, try to find it, locate it, observe it directly, it's not there. There are thoughts about self, feelings of self, memories creating a sense of continuity, but no actual separate self to be found. Just awareness, just experience, just this constantly changing flow of mental events. This realization is both disturbing and liberating. Disturbing because it challenges our most basic assumptions about who we are. Liberating because it loosens identification, loosens the sense of needing to defend or maintain or improve a self. If there's no separate self, then who is there to defend? Who is there to be injured by criticism? Who needs to be perfect? The self-concern that creates so much suffering begins to loosen, begins to relax, begins to release. This is not nihilism, not a denial of existence. You exist. Experience happens. Consciousness is real. But the separate, permanent, unchanging self you thought you were, that doesn't exist in the way you assumed. It's a construction, a process, not a thing. And seeing this directly, not just intellectually, but through direct observation and meditation, changes everything, changes how you relate to yourself, to your thoughts, to your emotions, to your life. There's less grasping, less defending, less suffering, because the self that needed defending was never really there in the first place. Walking meditation brings mindfulness to movement. Instead of sitting still, you walk. Slowly, very slowly, paying attention to the physical sensations of walking, the lifting of the foot, the moving forward, the placing down, the shifting of weight, the balance, the subtle adjustments your body makes constantly to keep you upright and moving. Usually we walk on autopilot, get from point A to point B without noticing the actual process of walking. The body handles it automatically. The mind is elsewhere, thinking, planning, lost in thoughts. But walking meditation brings attention to the process itself, to the actual physical experience of walking. This develops awareness of body in motion, develops balance, develops concentration. Because walking is complex, requires constant adjustments, constant attention. If you really pay attention to walking, you discover it's remarkably intricate, remarkably sophisticated, the coordination required, the balance maintained, the thousands of muscle adjustments per second. It's miraculous when you actually notice it. Walking meditation is also practical, more accessible than sitting for some people. People with pain or injuries that make sitting difficult. People with restlessness that makes sitting unbearable. Walking provides an outlet, allows movement, but still cultivates mindfulness, still develops present moment awareness. And walking meditation can be practiced anywhere, doesn't require special conditions, doesn't require silence or solitude, can be done in your home, in a park, on a sidewalk. Anywhere you can walk, you can practice. This makes mindfulness more accessible, more integrated into daily life. You're training the same capacities, attention, awareness, present moment focus, but in a different context, in movement, in activity. This helps bridge formal practice and daily life, helps you bring mindfulness into ordinary activities, into normal life. Sound meditation uses sound as the object of attention. Instead of focusing on breath or body, you listen, simply listen, to whatever sounds are present, without trying to identify them, without labeling, without judging, just hearing, pure hearing. Notice how sounds arise, appear in awareness, persist for a moment, then fade, disappear. Notice how sounds are just vibrations, just sensory experiences. It's the mind that labels them, identifies them, judges them as pleasant or unpleasant, wanted or unwanted. But before that labeling, before that judging, there's just sound, just hearing, just sensory experience arising in awareness. This practice develops a different relationship to experience, a more direct relationship, less mediated by thought, less filtered through concepts and labels and judgments. And sound meditation reveals something interesting about the nature of experience. Sounds arise without your control. You don't decide what sounds occur, they just happen, appear in awareness, and you can't stop them, can't control them, can't make unwanted sounds go away. This is true of all experience, all sensations, all thoughts, all emotions. They arise on their own, without your permission, without your control. The sense that you're controlling your experience, choosing your thoughts, directing your mental life. This is largely illusion. Experience arises. You observe it. You respond to it, but you don't create it, don't control it, don't decide what appears in awareness. Seeing this clearly, seeing the arising of experience as something that just happens, something you witness rather than something you do, this is liberating because you can stop trying to control the uncontrollable, can stop blaming yourself for thoughts and emotions that arise involuntarily, can recognize that you're not in control in the way you thought you were. And paradoxically, this recognition of lack of control actually gives you more freedom, more spaciousness, more capacity to respond skillfully to whatever arises, rather than being caught in the futile attempt to control what can't be controlled. Meditation doesn't eliminate difficult emotions, doesn't make you immune to suffering, doesn't create a permanent state of bliss or peace. This is important to understand. Meditation is not an escape from life, not a way to avoid difficulty, not a tool for never feeling bad. You will still experience sadness, still experience anxiety, still experience anger and frustration and disappointment and pain. These are part of being human, part of being alive, part of having a body and a mind and relationships and living in a world that contains loss and change and difficulty. Meditation doesn't remove these, doesn't make you invulnerable. What meditation changes is your relationship to these experiences, how you relate to difficult emotions, how you respond to pain, how you meet suffering when it arises. Without meditation, without mindfulness, difficult emotions tend to overwhelm. They arise and you're consumed by them, identified with them. You don't just feel sad, you are sad. You don't just experience anxiety, you are anxious. There's no distance, no space, no observation. You're completely merged with the emotion, lost in it. And from this place of identification, you react, do and say things you later regret. Make decisions based on temporary emotional states, create problems through reactive behavior driven by overwhelming emotion. This is suffering, not just the difficult emotion itself, but the lack of space around it, the lack of awareness, the lack of capacity to respond skillfully. Meditation creates that space, that awareness, that capacity. When a difficult emotion arises, you can notice it, can observe it, can recognize sadness is present, anxiety is arising, anger is here, the emotion is still there, is still felt, but there's awareness of it, space around it. You're not completely identified with it, not completely lost in it. You can feel sad without being sad, can experience anxiety without being anxious, can notice anger without becoming anger. This distinction seems subtle, but the effect is profound. From this place of awareness, you can respond rather than react, can make conscious choices rather than being driven by emotion, can allow the emotion to be there without letting it control your behavior. This is emotional intelligence. This is maturity. This is wisdom, and it's developed through meditation, through practicing awareness of mental and emotional states, through creating space between experience and response. Compassion naturally develops through meditation, not because you're trying to become compassionate, not because compassion is a goal, but because seeing clearly leads naturally to compassion. When you observe your own mind carefully, you see how much suffering is created by unconscious patterns, by automatic reactions, by identification with thoughts, by resistance to experience, by the constant attempt to control what can't be controlled. You see your own struggles, your own pain, your own confusion, and you see it's not your fault, not a failure, not a flaw, just the natural result of being human, of having a mind, of being conscious. This recognition generates compassion for yourself, self-compassion, kindness toward your own struggles, patience with your own confusion, understanding of your own pain. And this self-compassion naturally extends to others, because you realize everyone has a mind. Everyone experiences the same basic struggles. Everyone deals with unwanted thoughts, difficult emotions, automatic reactions, suffering. Everyone is doing their best with the mental equipment they have. Everyone is struggling. Everyone is confused. Everyone is in pain sometimes. This recognition generates compassion, not pity, not feeling sorry for people, but genuine understanding. Genuine recognition of shared human experience, shared struggle, shared suffering. And from this recognition comes kindness, patience, understanding, forgiveness. You become less judgmental, less critical, less harsh with yourself and with others. Because you understand, you see the struggles beneath the surface, the pain beneath the behavior, the confusion beneath the mistakes. This understanding is compassion. And it develops naturally through meditation, through seeing clearly, through awareness. Meditation is not about achieving enlightenment, not about transcending the human condition, not about becoming perfect or special or permanently blissful. These goals, if taken seriously, create problems, create expectations that can never be met, create a sense of failure when extraordinary experiences don't occur, create spiritual materialism, the attempt to acquire spiritual states like you'd acquire possessions, to achieve spiritual goals like you'd achieve career success. This misses the point. Meditation is much simpler, much more ordinary, much more human. It's about being present, being aware, being kind to yourself and others, learning to respond skillfully to life as it is rather than as you wish it were, developing capacities that reduce suffering and increase well-being, becoming more fully human, more fully alive, more fully present for your actual life. This is enough. This is valuable. This is the true benefit of meditation. And these benefits accumulate slowly, gradually, over time. There are no shortcuts, no quick fixes, no techniques that produce instant transformation. Meditation is practice, is training, is development that happens through repetition over time. You don't run a marathon after 1 week of training. Don't develop musical skill after a few sessions of practice. Don't learn a language after a couple of lessons. Why would meditation be different? Why would mental training happen faster than physical training or skill acquisition in any other domain? It doesn't. It takes time, takes practice, takes patience, takes persistence. The benefits accumulate gradually, almost imperceptibly. You probably won't notice day-to-day changes, won't feel dramatically different after each session, but over weeks and months and years, the changes become apparent, become real, become lasting. You're less reactive, more patient, more aware, more present, more kind. These changes happen slowly, but they happen. Through practice, through training, through meditation. There's something deeply satisfying about this slow accumulation, about gradual development, about change that happens through practice rather than through dramatic intervention or sudden insight. It means that progress is reliable, is achievable, is within your control. You can't control outcomes, can't guarantee specific results, can't force enlightenment or transformation, but you can control practice, can sit every day, can pay attention, can notice and return, can be present, can practice. And if you practice, benefits follow. Maybe not the benefits you expected, maybe not in the time frame you wanted, but benefits follow. Progress happens, development occurs. This is reassuring. This is hopeful. This means that change is possible through simple, repeated practice, through showing up, through doing the work, day after day, week after week, year after year. Meditation reveals that this moment is all there is. This is not a philosophical position, not something you need to believe, not a concept you need to accept on faith, not a spiritual teaching that requires conversion or adherence to a particular tradition. This is a direct observation, an empirical discovery, something you can verify yourself through simple attention, through looking, through noticing what's actually true in your direct experience. When you pay careful attention to your experience, when you really look at what's actually happening in your awareness, you discover something fundamental, something that's always been true but that you've never fully noticed. You discover that you only ever experience this moment, right now, this present moment, only now, always now, forever now. Never the past. This seems wrong, seems obviously false. Of course you experience the past. You remember yesterday, remember childhood, remember what happened this morning. You have access to the past through memory, through recollection, through the ability to bring past events into mind. But look more carefully. Look at what's actually happening when you remember the past. What's actually occurring in your direct experience. A thought arises, an image appears, a feeling emerges. And all of this happens now. The remembering happens now. The thought about the past arises in the present. The image of a past event appears in present awareness. The feeling associated with memory occurs now. You're not actually experiencing the past, you're experiencing memory. And memory is a present moment phenomenon, is something happening now. The past itself is gone, finished, no longer existing. What exists is memory, thought, mental activity, all occurring now, in this present moment. Never the future. This also seems wrong. You plan for the future. Think about tomorrow. Worry about next week. Imagine scenarios that might unfold. You have access to the future through imagination, through anticipation, through the ability to project forward. But again, look carefully at what's actually happening. When you think about the future, what's occurring in your direct experience? A thought arises, an image forms, a feeling emerges, perhaps anxiety about what might happen, perhaps excitement about what could be, but all of this happens now. The thinking about the future occurs in the present. The imagination of future events arises in present awareness. The feeling associated with anticipation happens now. You're not actually experiencing the future, you're experiencing imagination, projection, mental simulation, all occurring now, in this present moment. The future hasn't happened yet, doesn't exist yet, may never exist in the way you imagine. What exists is thought about the future, and that thought is happening now. Memory is now. This is the key insight, the crucial recognition. Memory feels like access to the past, feels like you're reaching back in time, touching something that happened before, re-experiencing events that are finished. But this is not what's actually happening. Memory is a present moment phenomenon, is a thought, an image, a feeling, a neural activation pattern, all occurring now. When a memory arises, it arises now, in this moment, in present awareness. The content of the memory is about the past, references past events, points to things that happened before. But the memory itself, the actual experience of remembering, happens now, only now, always now. You cannot remember in the past, cannot recollect yesterday while existing in yesterday. Memory happens now, in the only place it can happen, in the only time that exists, now. Thinking about the past happens now. The memory arises now. Not just the content, not just what you're remembering, but the entire act of remembering, the process of recollection, the arising of images and thoughts and feelings associated with past events. All of it happens in the present moment. You are here, now, in this moment. And thoughts about the past are arising in your present moment awareness. You're not traveling to the past, not leaving the present, not experiencing anything other than now. You're experiencing thoughts, thoughts that reference the past, that point to past events, that contain information about what happened before. But the thoughts themselves are present moment phenomena, are happening now, only now, always now. Planning is now. Thinking about the future happens now. The thought arises now. Just as with memory, planning feels like access to the future, feels like you're reaching forward in time, touching something that hasn't happened yet, pre-experiencing events that are to come. But this is not what's actually happening. Planning is a present moment phenomenon, is thought, imagination, mental simulation, all occurring now. When you plan, when you think about the future, when you imagine scenarios that might unfold, all of this happens now, in this moment, in present awareness. The content of the planning is about the future, references future events, points to things that haven't happened yet. But the planning itself, the actual experience of thinking about the future, happens now, only now, always now. You cannot plan in the future, cannot think about tomorrow while existing in tomorrow. Planning happens now, in the only place it can happen, in the only time that exists, now. You never leave now. This is not a limitation, not a constraint, not something unfortunate. This is the nature of experience, the structure of consciousness, the way reality is actually organized. You are always here, always now. You cannot be anywhere else, cannot be anyone else. There is no other place, no other time, just here, just now, just this present moment. And this present moment is always present, is always now. Time seems to flow, seems to move from past through present into future. But look at your actual experience. Look at what's actually happening. It's always now. Yesterday was experienced as now. Tomorrow will be experienced as now. Every moment of your entire life has been experienced as now, will be experienced as now, because now is all there is all there ever is the only time that exists, the only time you can experience, the only time that's real. Never experience anything other than now, not because you're limited, not because your perception is flawed, not because you're missing something, but because now is all there is. Past doesn't exist except as memory. Future doesn't exist except as imagination. Memory and imagination both exist now. Both are present moment phenomena. Both occur in current awareness. You experience them now. You experience everything now. Only now. Always now. This is not a problem to solve, not a condition to overcome. This is the nature of experience, the structure of reality, the way things actually are. And recognizing this, seeing this clearly, understanding this deeply, changes everything, changes how you relate to time, how you relate to experience, how you relate to life. The past is memory arising now. That's all it is. That's all it can be. The past itself is gone, finished, complete, no longer existing in any real sense. What exists is memory, traces left in the brain, neural pathways formed by past experience, patterns that can be reactivated to produce thoughts and images and feelings associated with past events. And when these patterns activate, when memory arises, it arises now, in the present. The past lives only in present moment memory, has no existence apart from current recollection. This doesn't mean the past didn't happen, doesn't mean history is meaningless, doesn't mean memory is false. The past happened, events occurred, but they occurred in what was then the present moment, in what was then now, and now they're gone, and what remains is memory, present moment memory, memory arising now. The future is imagination arising now. That's all it is, that's all it can be. The future doesn't exist yet, hasn't happened, may never happen in the way you imagine. What exists is imagination, mental simulation, projection forward, anticipation, all of this occurring now, in the present. The future lives only in present moment imagination, has no existence apart from current thought about what might be. This doesn't mean planning is useless, doesn't mean thinking about the future is wrong, doesn't mean you should never consider tomorrow. Planning is useful, thinking ahead is valuable, anticipation helps you prepare. But recognize what you're doing. You're thinking now, imagining now, simulating now. You're not experiencing the future. You're experiencing present moment thought about the future. And that's fine. That's useful. But it's happening now. Only now. Always now. All experience happens in the present moment. Every sensation, every thought, every emotion, every perception, every memory, every imagination, every experience you've ever had, every experience you'll ever have, all of it happens in the present moment, in now. You have never experienced anything other than now. Will never experience anything other than now. Cannot experience anything other than now, because now is when experience happens, when consciousness operates, when awareness exists. Now is the only time there is, the only time that's real, the only time you can experience anything. Everything else is thought, memory about past nows, imagination about future nows. But actual experience, actual consciousness, actual awareness happens now, only now, always now, forever now. This present moment is all there ever is, not in some mystical sense, not as a spiritual teaching, but as a simple description of actual experience. Look at your experience right now. It's happening now. Was anything you've ever experienced not happening in what was then now? Can you imagine any experience that doesn't happen in the present moment? Even in memory, you're experiencing now, the memory now, the recollection now, the thought about the past now. Even in imagination, you're experiencing now, the imagination now, the projection now, the thought about the future now. Now is all there ever is, all there can be, because now is when experience happens, when consciousness exists, when you are aware, and you are always aware now, only now, forever now, all you ever have. This is not depressing, not limiting, not a loss. This is liberation. This is freedom. This is the end of living in past and future, the end of missing your life while thinking about your life, the end of being lost in time. You have this moment, this present moment. This is what you have, and this is enough. This is everything, because this is all there is, all you need, all that exists. You don't need the past, it's gone. You don't need the future, it hasn't happened. You need this moment, this experience, this awareness, this now, and you have it. You always have it. You will always have it, because it's always now. And now is what you have, what you experience, what you are, all you ever experience. Think about this carefully. Examine your entire life, every moment you've lived. Was there ever a moment that wasn't now, a moment that wasn't present, a moment that wasn't current? You have never experienced the past, have never experienced the future, have only ever experienced now. The content of your experience changes, the thoughts change, the sensations change, the emotions change, but the nowness remains constant, remains unchanged, remains always present. You are always experiencing now, have always been experiencing now, will always be experiencing now, because now is all there is, all you can experience, all that exists in your awareness. This recognition is profound, is transformative, changes everything about how you relate to time, how you relate to experience, how you relate to life. And yet, most of the time, you're not present for this moment. This is the tragedy. This is the suffering. This is what meditation addresses. You have only this moment, only now, only this present experience, and yet you're not here for it, not present for it, not aware of it. You're lost, lost in thought, lost in time, lost in mental activity about moments that don't exist, about past moments that are gone, about future moments that haven't happened. You're missing the only moment you have, missing the only moment that exists, missing your actual life, right now, in this moment, while you're thinking about other moments, while you're lost in thought about past or future. Your actual life is happening, and you're missing it. You're lost in thoughts about other moments. This is what the mind does. This is its default mode, its automatic activity, thinking, planning, remembering, imagining, simulating, projecting. The mind is a time travel machine, constantly moving between past and future, rarely present, rarely here, rarely now. It reviews the past, analyzes what happened, judges what you did, regrets mistakes, resents injuries, wishes things were different, and it projects into the future, plans what to do, imagines scenarios, worries about what might happen, anticipates problems, tries to control what can't be controlled. This is constant. This is ongoing. This is the default state of the untrained mind, lost in time, lost in thought, lost in mental activity about moments that don't exist. Past moments, moments that are gone, finished, complete, no longer existing except as memory, yet you spend enormous time thinking about them, reviewing them, analyzing them, judging them, regretting them, resenting them, wishing they were different. But they're not different. They're gone. They happened. They're finished. The thinking about them happens now, but the actual moments are gone, over, complete, and no amount of thinking changes them, changes what happened, makes them different. The past is fixed, is unchangeable, is finished. Yet you spend present moments thinking about past moments, missing now while thinking about then, missing the only moment you have while thinking about moments that are gone. Future moments, moments that don't exist, haven't happened, may never happen in the way you imagine, yet you spend enormous time thinking about them, planning for them, worrying about them, imagining them, trying to control them, trying to ensure they turn out the way you want. But they don't exist yet, haven't happened yet, are completely unknown, and much of what you worry about never happens, never comes to pass, never becomes real. The worrying happens now. The planning happens now. But the actual moments you're worried about or planning for don't exist, and you're spending present moments thinking about future moments, missing now while thinking about then, missing the only moment you have while thinking about moments that haven't happened. Imaginary moments, moments that will never exist, scenarios that will never occur, conversations that will never happen, events that will never come to pass. Complete fantasy. Yet you spend time thinking about them, living in them, experiencing them mentally, having imaginary conversations, playing out hypothetical scenarios, rehearsing things you might say, imagining things that might happen. None of it real, none of it existing anywhere except in your mind, in your imagination, in present moment thought. You're missing actual life while living an imaginary life, missing real experience while lost in imaginary experience, missing now while lost in never. Planning and remembering and worrying and fantasizing. This is what fills mental space. This is what occupies attention. This is what you do instead of being present. You plan. Think about what you'll do later, tomorrow, next week. You remember. Think about what happened earlier, yesterday, years ago. You worry. Think about what might go wrong, what problems might arise, what difficulties might occur. You fantasize. Think about what you wish were true, what you wish would happen, what you hope for. All of this is mental activity. All of this is thought. All of this happens now, but none of it is present moment experience. None of it is actual life. None of it is here, now, real. Living in your head instead of in your life. This is the condition, the fundamental condition, the basic state of most human consciousness most of the time. You're living in your head, in mental space, in the realm of thought and imagination and memory and projection, in mental representations, in internal simulations, in the constant stream of mental activity that fills consciousness from waking to sleeping. You're living there, in your head, in thought, not in your life, not in actual experience, not in the present moment, but in your head, in the mental realm, in the world of thought rather than the world of direct experience. This is where you spend most of your time, most of your attention, most of your conscious awareness, in your head, thinking, rather than in your life, experiencing. This is the problem, not a minor inconvenience, not a small issue, but the fundamental problem, the root cause of much suffering, the core issue that creates unnecessary pain and dissatisfaction. Living in your head instead of in your life means you're not actually living, not fully living, not experiencing life directly. You're experiencing thoughts about life, mental representations of life, internal simulations of life, but not life itself, not direct experience, not actual reality. You're one step removed, separated from direct experience by the constant filter of thought, by the ongoing mental activity that interprets and labels and judges and narrates everything. You're living through this filter, through this mental representation, rather than directly, immediately, presently. This is what creates suffering, not the only source of suffering. External circumstances create suffering. Physical pain creates suffering. Loss creates suffering. All of this is real. All of this is unavoidable. But much suffering, much unnecessary suffering, comes from this, from living in your head instead of in your life, from being lost in thought rather than present for experience. This creates suffering in multiple ways. It creates the suffering of missing your actual life, of not being present for the moments you have, of living in past and future rather than now. It creates the suffering of identification with thoughts, of believing every thought, of being controlled by mental content. It creates the suffering of resistance to reality, of constantly comparing what is to what should be, of living in mental ideals rather than actual reality. All of this suffering comes from living in your head instead of in your life. You're living in mental representations of life instead of in life itself. Think about what this means. A representation is not the thing itself. A map is not the territory. A menu is not the meal. A description is not the experience. Mental representations of life are not life. Our thoughts about life, ideas about life, concepts and memories and projections about life, but not life itself, not direct experience, not actual reality. When you're living in mental representations, you're living in thoughts about experience rather than in experience. You're experiencing your ideas about life rather than life itself. You're interacting with mental content rather than with reality. This is indirect, is secondhand, is filtered. You're not getting life directly. You're getting your mental representation of life, your interpretation, your story, your narrative, not the raw, direct, unfiltered experience of actually being alive. Living in thoughts about experience instead of an actual experience. You think about your experience constantly. You narrate it, interpret it, judge it, label it, analyze it. You turn direct experience into mental content, into thoughts, into concepts, into stories. And then you live in those thoughts, those concepts, those stories, rather than in the direct experience itself. You have an experience, and immediately you're thinking about it, naming it, deciding if it's good or bad, comparing it to past experiences, wondering what it means, planning how to respond, all mental activity, all thought, all happening instead of simply being present with the experience itself. The experience is there, is happening, but you're not fully present for it because you're thinking about it, living in thoughts about the experience rather than in the experience itself. Living in your head, in mental activity, in the constant stream of thinking. This stream is constant, is ongoing, is relentless. Thoughts arise continuously, one after another, overlapping, branching, multiplying, an endless stream of mental content. This is normal. This is how minds work. But when you're completely identified with this stream, completely absorbed in it, completely living in it, you're living in your head, you're living in mental space, in thought space, in the realm of concepts and memories and projections and fantasies, not in the realm of direct experience, not in the realm of actual sensation and perception, not in the realm of immediate reality. You're in your head, in the thinking realm, lost in the constant stream of mental activity. Instead of in your life, in actual experience, in the present moment, your life is happening. Right now, in this moment, real things are occurring, real sensations are present, real perceptions are arising. Your body is here, is breathing, is sensing, is alive. The world is here, is present, is real. Life is happening. Actual experience is occurring. The present moment is unfolding. This is your life. This is reality. This is what's actually happening, but you're not here for it, not present for it, not aware of it, because you're in your head, in thought, in mental activity, missing your actual life while lost in mental representations of life. You're here physically. This is undeniable. Your body is here, is present, is in this location, in this place, at this time. Your physical form is here. Your nervous system is here. Your senses are here, taking in information, processing stimuli, generating sensations. Your body is functioning, is breathing, is alive, is here, physically present, actually existing in this location, in this moment. This is undeniable reality. Your physical presence is real, is actual, is here. Your body is here, in this place, in this time, not somewhere else, not in the past, not in the future, but here, now. Your body exists only in the present moment, only in current location, only in actual space and time. It cannot be anywhere else, cannot be anyone else. Your body is here, is now, is present. This is the anchor, the ground, the undeniable reality, your physical existence, here, now, present. But you're not here mentally. Your mind is elsewhere, is in other moments, in past moments, in future moments, in imaginary moments. Your mental attention is not here, not now, not present. You're thinking about something else, somewhere else, some other time. Your mind is time traveling, is space traveling, is moving through memories and plans and fantasies, is anywhere but here, anywhere but now. You're mentally absent, mentally elsewhere, mentally lost in content that's not about this present moment, not here consciously. Your consciousness is not present, not attending to here, not aware of now, not experiencing this actual moment. Your consciousness is occupied, is filled with mental content about other moments, other places, other times. You're conscious, yes. You're aware, yes, but not of here, not of now, not of this present moment. You're conscious of thoughts, of memories, of plans, of fantasies. You're aware of mental content, but not of present reality, not of actual experience, not of this moment. Your consciousness is here in one sense. You're alive, you're aware, but in another sense, it's completely absent, not attending, not present, not here. Not here in awareness. Your awareness is elsewhere, is directed elsewhere, is focused elsewhere, on thoughts, on mental activity, on internal content, not on external reality, not on present experience, not on actual sensations and perceptions. Your awareness is turned inward, directed at mental content, at the stream of thinking, at thoughts and memories and plans, not at the present moment, not at actual reality, not at what's actually happening here and now. You're aware, but your awareness is not present, not here, not attending to this moment. You're somewhere else, mentally, consciously, in your awareness. You're not here. You're elsewhere, in thought space, in mental space, in the realm of memory or planning or fantasy. You're visiting other moments, other places, other times, other realities, all mental, all internal, all represented, not direct, not immediate, not present. You're somewhere else, not here, not now, not present. In thought, this is where you are, in mental activity, in the realm of thinking, in thoughts about past, thoughts about future, thoughts about yourself, thoughts about others, thoughts about problems, thoughts about plans, thoughts about anything and everything except this present moment. You're in thought, lost in thought, absorbed in thought, identified with thought, living in the thought realm, the mental realm, the realm of representations and concepts and ideas, not the realm of direct experience, not the realm of actual reality. You're in thought. This is where your attention lives, where your consciousness resides, in thought. In mental time travel, constantly traveling through time, moving between past and future, never staying in present. Your mind is a time machine, constantly moving, constantly traveling, back to yesterday, forward to tomorrow, back to last year, forward to next month, constantly moving through time, reviewing past, planning future, never resting in present, never staying here, never staying now, always traveling, always moving, always somewhere else in time. This is mental time travel. This is what minds do. This is where you live, in the time traveling mind, never in the present moment. In the constant activity of thinking about past or future or imaginary moments instead of experiencing this actual moment. This is the pattern, the habit, the default mode. Thinking about other moments instead of experiencing this moment. Reviewing what happened instead of experiencing what's happening. Planning what will happen instead of experiencing what's happening. Imagining what might happen instead of experiencing what's happening. Fantasizing about what you wish would happen instead of experiencing what's happening. Constantly thinking about other moments, constantly lost in mental content about times that aren't now, constantly missing this actual moment while lost in thought about other moments, missing the only moment you actually have. This is the consequence, the result, the inevitable outcome of living in your head. You miss this moment, this actual present moment, the only moment that's real, the only moment that exists, the only moment you can actually experience. You're missing it, not experiencing it, not aware of it, not present for it, because you're thinking about other moments, lost in mental content about times that don't exist, missing the only moment that does exist, missing the only moment you actually have. This is the consequence. This is what happens when you live in your head, when you're lost in thought, when you're mentally absent from the present moment. You miss your life. You miss your actual experience. You miss reality. You miss this moment, the only moment that's real, the only moment you have. You miss it. Consistently, habitually, almost constantly, this is the consequence of living in your head, missing your actual life. This is what happens, not occasionally, not rarely, but constantly, continuously, as a default. This is what happens when you're lost in thought. When you're living in your head, you miss the present moment. You miss actual experience. You miss your life. This happens. This is happening. Right now. To the extent you're lost in thought, you're missing this moment. To the extent you're in your head, you're not in your life. This is what happens. This is the pattern. This is the default human condition. This is what you lose. Not something trivial, not something minor, but your life, your actual life, your actual experience, your actual moments. This is what you lose. When you're lost in thought, you lose presence, you lose awareness, you lose direct experience, you lose this moment, you lose your actual life. This is what's at stake. This is what you're missing. This is what you lose by living in your head instead of in your life. You have this moment. This is what you have. This is what's real. This is what exists. This present moment, right now, this actual experience, this is yours. This is available. This is here. You have this, right now, this moment, this experience, this awareness. This is what you have. Not the past, that's gone. Not the future, that doesn't exist. But this moment, this is what you have. This is real. This is yours. This present moment, not an abstract concept, not a philosophical idea, but this actual moment, this immediate experience, this current awareness, what's happening right now, what you're experiencing right now, what's real right now, this moment, this specific moment, this unique moment, this is what you have. This is what exists. This is what's real. This is yours, belongs to you, is your experience, your moment, your life. This moment is yours, not in a possessive sense, not in an ownership sense, but in the sense that this is your experience, your consciousness, your awareness. This moment is what you're experiencing, what you're living, what you have. It's yours. This is your moment, your life, your experience, right now. This is what's real, not thoughts about reality, not memories of past reality, not projections of future reality, but actual reality, present reality, this moment, this experience, this awareness. This is real, this is actual, this exists right now, not in memory, not in imagination, but now. Actually, really, this is what's real, this present moment, this actual experience, this immediate awareness. This is what's actually happening, not what happened, not what might happen, not what you're thinking about, but what's actually happening right now, in this moment, in reality, in actual experience. Sensations are happening, perceptions are happening, awareness is happening, breathing is happening, life is happening. This is what's actually happening right now, not in thought, not in representation, but in reality, in direct experience, in this actual present moment. Missing your actual life in favor of thoughts about life. Life is happening right now, in this moment. Real experience, real sensations, real perceptions, real consciousness. Your body is here, your senses are functioning, the world is present, life is occurring, and you're thinking about it, thinking about life, thinking about what happened, thinking about what will happen, thinking about what you wish would happen, but not experiencing life, not being present for life, not aware of life. You're experiencing thoughts about life, mental representations of life, internal simulations of life, but not life itself, not actual experience, not present moment reality. Thoughts about past life, memories, recollections, reviews of what happened, analysis of events that are finished, judgment of actions that are complete, regret about choices that are unchangeable, resentment about hurts that are over. All of this is thought, is mental activity, is occurring now. But the content is about past life, about life that already happened, about experiences that are finished. You're thinking about past life instead of experiencing present life, missing now while thinking about then, missing what's real while reviewing what's gone. Thoughts about future life, plans, projections, worries, anticipations, simulations of what might happen, rehearsals of what you might do, attempts to control what hasn't occurred, anxiety about possibilities that may never manifest. All of this is thought, is mental activity, is occurring now. But the content is about future life, about life that hasn't happened, about experiences that don't exist. You're thinking about future life instead of experiencing present life, missing now while thinking about later, missing what's real while imagining what might be. But not actual life, not actual experience, not this moment. Actual life is here, is now, is present moment experience, is sensation and perception and awareness happening right now. This is life. This is what's real. This is what exists. Not thoughts about life, not memories of past life or projections of future life, but actual life, actual experience, actual present moment awareness. This is what you're missing. This is what you're not experiencing. This is what's happening while you're lost in thought. Life, real life, present life, happening now, whether you're aware of it or not, whether you're present for it or not. Life continues, experience occurs, the present moment persists, with or without your awareness, with or without your presence. Meditation brings you back to this moment. This is what meditation does. This is its function, its purpose, its benefit. Meditation is the systematic practice of returning to the present moment, of coming back from thought, of shifting from mental time travel to present moment awareness, of moving from thinking about life to experiencing life. The technique is simple. Choose an object of present moment experience, usually breath, focus on it, and when you notice you've wandered into thought, return, come back, return to the present moment, to the breath, to the body, to actual experience, and you'll wander again, get lost in thought again, and notice again, and return again, over and over. This is the practice. This is the training. This is what brings you back to this moment. Returns you to actual experience, to actual life, to the only moment you'll ever have. Meditation trains the capacity to be present, to be aware of present moment experience, to notice when you've wandered into thought and to return to now. This capacity develops through practice, through repetition, through the constant cycle of wandering and noticing and returning. Each time you return, you're strengthening the capacity to be present, strengthening awareness of the present moment, strengthening the ability to distinguish between being present and being lost in thought. And this capacity developed through meditation extends into daily life. You notice sooner when you're lost in thought. Return more easily to the present. Spend more time actually experiencing life and less time thinking about life. This is the gift. This is the benefit. This is what meditation provides to actual life, not thoughts about life, not mental representations of life, not simulations or memories or projections, but actual life, real experience, present moment awareness, what's actually happening, what you're actually experiencing when you're not lost in thought, the sensations in your body, the sounds in your environment, the visual field, the feeling of breathing, the sense of being alive, of being aware, of existing. This is actual life. This is what's real. This is what's happening now. And meditation returns you to it, brings you back, makes you present for your own life, for your own experience, for the only moment you have. To the only moment you'll ever have. Because this moment, this present moment, is the only time, the only experience. You will never have a moment that isn't now. Will never experience anything that isn't present moment experience. Every moment of your life, past and future, is experienced as now, as present, as current. This moment, this present moment, is all you'll ever have, is all you need, is enough, is everything. And meditation brings you back to it, makes you present for it, helps you stop missing it while lost in thought about other moments, helps you experience the only moment you have, the only moment that exists, the only moment that's real. And in this return, there's peace, real peace, genuine peace, not the peace of having everything be pleasant, not the peace of having no problems, not the peace of achieving all your goals, but the peace of being present, the peace of not struggling with what is, the peace of letting go of past and future, the peace of simply being here, now, aware, present. This peace is available, is accessible, is right here, in this moment, when you're fully present, when you're not lost in thought about past or future, when you're simply here, aware of now, there's peace, naturally, spontaneously, not created, not achieved, just present, revealed when the mental agitation stops, when the time travel ceases, when you simply be here now, there's peace. There's simplicity. Life becomes simple when you're present, not easy, not without challenges, but simple. This moment is simple, is straightforward, is clear. What's happening now is usually simple. One thing, one experience, one moment. The complexity comes from thought, from juggling past and future, from managing regrets and plans and worries and fantasies, from trying to be in multiple times simultaneously. But when you're present, when you're here now, there's simplicity. Just this, just now, just this breath, just this sensation, just this moment. Simple, clear, straightforward, not complicated by mental time travel, not confused by the overlay of thought. Just this. Simple, clear, present. There's freedom from the endless mental time travel that creates so much suffering. Time travel is exhausting, is stressful, is the source of much suffering, constantly moving between past and future, reviewing what happened, anticipating what might happen, never resting, never still, never simply here. This creates stress, creates anxiety, creates the constant sense of having too much to manage, too much to think about, too much going on. But when you're present, when you stop time traveling, when you simply be here now, there's freedom. Freedom from the burden of managing past and future. Freedom from the exhausting work of constant mental simulation. Freedom from the stress of trying to be in multiple times simultaneously. Just this. Just now. Just here. Free from the endless time travel. Free from the mental activity that creates so much suffering. Simply present. Simply here, simply now, and in this presence, this simplicity, this freedom, there's peace. Because much suffering comes from not being present. This is the key insight, the crucial recognition, the fundamental understanding. Most suffering, not all but most, comes from being lost in thought about past or future, from mental time travel, from not being present for this actual moment. Look at your suffering, examine your stress, investigate your anxiety. How much of it is about now? How much is about this actual present moment? And how much is about past or future? About what happened or what might happen? About regrets or worries? About things that aren't actually happening right now? Most suffering is about time, about not being present, about living in mental representations of past or future rather than in the actual present moment. From living in past or future rather than in now, you live in memory, in recollection, in review of what happened. You live in regret, in resentment, in rumination about what you should have done differently. This creates suffering, real suffering, painful suffering. But it's not about now. It's about then, about moments that are gone, about experiences that are finished. The suffering happens now. The painful feelings occur in the present, but they're created by thinking about the past, by mental time travel to moments that no longer exist. You also live in imagination, in projection, in anticipation of what might happen. You live in worry, in anxiety, in fear about future possibilities. This creates suffering, real suffering, painful suffering. But it's not about now. It's about later, about moments that don't exist, about experiences that haven't happened. The suffering happens now. The painful feelings occur in the present, but they're created by thinking about the future, by mental time travel to moments that don't exist yet. Regret about the past. This is a major source of suffering. Thinking about what you did, judging it, wishing you'd done differently, wishing you'd made better choices, said different things, acted differently. This creates pain, creates suffering, creates the sense of having failed, of having messed up, of being inadequate. But the past is gone, is unchangeable, is finished. No amount of regret changes it, makes it different, improves it. The regret happens now, creates suffering now, but about something that's over, something that can't be changed, something that's finished. This is suffering about the past, not about now. Now is usually okay, but you're suffering about then, about what happened, about what's finished. This is suffering from not being present. Resentment about what happened. This is another source of suffering, thinking about how you were treated, what was done to you, what you experienced, judging it as wrong, as unfair, as unjust, feeling hurt, feeling angry, feeling wronged. This creates pain, creates suffering, creates the sense of being a victim, of having been mistreated, of deserving better. But what happened is finished, is over, is gone. The hurt happened then, but you're continuing it now, through thought, through mental review of what happened, through keeping the wound open by constantly revisiting it. The resentment happens now, creates suffering now, but about something that's over, something that's finished, something that can't be changed. This is suffering about the past, not about now. Now is usually okay, but you're suffering about then, about what happened, about what someone did. This is suffering from not being present. Rumination on what you should have done differently. This is perhaps the most painful form of past-focused suffering, the constant mental review, the endless replaying, the obsessive analysis of what you did and how you could have done it better, the should-haves, the could-haves, the if-onlys. This creates intense suffering, creates the feeling of having failed, of being inadequate, of not being good enough, but it changes nothing, helps nothing, makes nothing better. The past is fixed, is unchangeable. You did what you did. It's finished, done, over. Ruminating doesn't change it, doesn't improve it, doesn't fix it. It only creates suffering, present moment suffering, occurring now, but about something that's finished, something that's over, something that can't be changed. This is suffering from not being present. This creates suffering. All of this past-focused mental activity creates suffering. Real suffering, painful suffering. That occurs now, in the present moment. You're suffering now about things that aren't happening now, about things that are finished, about things that are gone. The suffering is real, is present, but the cause is mental, is thought, is the activity of thinking about the past instead of being present for now. And this suffering is unnecessary, not in the sense that you shouldn't feel it or that it's wrong to feel it, but in the sense that it's created by not being present, created by mental time travel, created by living in past instead of now. And it can be released, can be reduced, can be let go by returning to the present moment, by being here now, by experiencing this actual moment instead of thinking about past moments. Worry about the future. This is the primary form of future-focused suffering, thinking about what might happen, what could go wrong, what problems might arise, imagining negative scenarios, anticipating difficulties, trying to prepare for every possibility. This creates anxiety, creates stress, creates the constant feeling of impending doom, of waiting for the other shoe to drop, of never being safe. But the future doesn't exist, hasn't happened, may never happen in the way you imagine. Most of what you worry about never occurs, never becomes real, never manifests. The worrying happens now, creates suffering now, real anxiety, real stress, real pain, but about something that doesn't exist, something imaginary, something that may never happen. This is suffering about the future, not about now. Now is usually okay, but you're suffering about later, about what might happen, about possibilities. This is suffering from not being present. Anxiety about what might happen, similar to worry but more intense, more pervasive, more physically felt. Anxiety is worry in the body, the physical sensations of stress, tight chest, rapid heartbeat, shallow breathing, tension, restlessness, all created by thinking about future possibilities, about what might go wrong, about what you might not be able to handle. The anxiety is real, is present, is felt now, in your body, in this moment. But it's created by thinking about the future, by imagining scenarios that don't exist, by projecting problems that haven't occurred. The future you're anxious about doesn't exist, may never exist, is imaginary, but the anxiety is real, is present, is suffering, occurring now, but about something that isn't happening now. This is suffering from not being present, planning for problems that may never occur. This is the rational form of future-focused suffering. Not emotional worry or anxiety, but practical planning, trying to anticipate every problem, prepare for every contingency, ensure you're ready for whatever might happen. This seems responsible, seems wise, seems like good preparation, but it creates stress, creates the burden of managing countless possibilities, of trying to control what can't be controlled, of attempting to prepare for futures that will never arrive. Some planning is useful, is necessary, is wise, but excessive planning, planning for every possibility, planning for problems that are unlikely to occur, this creates suffering, creates stress, creates the sense of never being prepared enough, never being ready enough, never being safe enough, and most of what you plan for never happens, never becomes necessary, never manifests. The planning happens now, uses present moment attention and energy. But for scenarios that don't exist, that may never exist. This is suffering from not being present. This creates suffering. All of this future-focused mental activity creates suffering, real suffering, painful suffering. That occurs now, in the present moment. You're suffering now about things that aren't happening now, about things that haven't happened, about things that may never happen. The suffering is real, is present, but the cause is mental, is thought, is the activity of thinking about the future instead of being present for now. And this suffering is unnecessary, can be released, can be reduced, can be let go by returning to the present moment, by being here now, by experiencing this actual moment instead of thinking about future moments. But when you're fully present, when you're experiencing this actual moment, much of that suffering dissolves. This is not theory, not wishful thinking, not spiritual bypassing. This is observable, is verifiable, is something you can test yourself. When you're truly present, truly here, truly experiencing this actual moment without the overlay of thought about past or future, much of the suffering dissolves, naturally, spontaneously, without effort, not because the circumstances change, not because problems disappear, but because you're experiencing what's actually happening instead of thinking about what happened or what might happen. And what's actually happening, this actual present moment, is usually okay, is usually manageable, is usually not the catastrophe your thoughts suggest. Because this moment, this actual present moment, is usually okay. Look at this moment, this actual now. Not your thoughts about moments, not your memory of past moments or imagination of future moments, but this moment, this actual present moment. What's happening right now? Are you okay right now? Is there an immediate threat right now? An actual problem occurring right now? In most moments, the answer is no. This moment is okay, is manageable, is tolerable. Maybe not pleasant, maybe not how you'd like it to be, but okay. Not catastrophic, not unbearable, not the disaster your thoughts suggest. This moment is usually okay, usually tolerable, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's difficult, even when it's painful. This actual present moment is usually tolerable, usually something you can be with, can experience, can survive. The mind creates stories about how unbearable things are, how impossible, how terrible. But when you're actually present, actually experiencing now, it's usually tolerable. You're surviving it. You're experiencing it. You're here, right now, in this moment, and you're okay. Not necessarily happy, not necessarily comfortable, but okay. Surviving, tolerating, managing this moment, right now, is usually tolerable. Usually not the catastrophe your thoughts suggest. Thoughts are dramatic, are catastrophic, are extreme. Thoughts tell you things are terrible, are unbearable, are the worst. But when you're present, when you're experiencing actual reality instead of thoughts about reality, things are usually not that extreme, usually not that terrible, usually not the catastrophe your thoughts describe. This moment is usually mundane, ordinary, normal. Nothing catastrophic is happening. Nothing unbearable is occurring. You're just here, living, breathing, experiencing this moment, which is okay, which is tolerable, which is not catastrophic. The catastrophe is in thought, in imagination, in the stories your mind tells, not in this actual present moment. The suffering is in the thoughts about other moments. This is the key insight, the crucial understanding, the liberating recognition. The suffering is not in this moment, is in thought, in mental activity about past or future, in the stories about what happened or what might happen, in the judgments and worries and regrets and resentments, all of it thought, all of it mental activity about other moments, moments that don't exist. that aren't happening now. The suffering happens now. The pain is felt now, but it's created by thought, by mental time travel, by not being present. When you return to the present moment, when you experience now instead of thinking about other moments, much of the suffering dissolves, because it was never about now, was always about thought, about mental activity, about being lost in past or future instead of present for this actual moment. Not in this moment itself. This moment is what it is what's happening, is actual reality, actual experience. And actual reality, actual present moment experience is usually okay, usually tolerable, usually not suffering. Suffering is added by thought, by the mental layer of judgment and interpretation and story, by the thoughts about this moment rather than the direct experience of this moment. When you're truly present, truly experiencing now without the overlay of thought, this moment is usually okay. Maybe not pleasant, maybe challenging, maybe difficult, but not suffering, not unbearable, just what is, just this, just now. The suffering comes when you think about this, judge this, resist this, wish this were different. All mental activity, all added by thought. This moment itself, direct experience itself, is usually okay. Meditation brings you back to this moment, trains the capacity to return, to come back from thought, to shift from mental time travel to present moment awareness, to experience now instead of thinking about then or later. And in this moment, in this return, in this presence, there's peace, there's relief, there's the recognition that this moment is okay, is tolerable, is not the catastrophe your thoughts suggest. This is the gift of meditation. This is what it provides. Not the elimination of all problems, not the cessation of all difficulty, but the capacity to be present, to experience now, to stop suffering about other moments and simply be here for this moment, this actual moment, which is usually okay. And in this moment, there's peace. Not the peace of having everything be perfect, not the peace of having no challenges, not the peace of achieving all goals, but the peace of being present, the peace of not fighting with reality, the peace of not struggling with what is, the peace of simply being here, now, aware, present. This peace is always available, always accessible, always here, in this moment. When you stop time traveling, stop thinking about past or future, stop being lost in mental activity about other moments, and simply be here, simply be now, simply be present. There's peace, naturally, spontaneously, always available, right here, right now, in this present moment. There's presence. You're here, you're aware, you're conscious, you're experiencing. This is presence. This is what it means to be present, to be here, to be aware of here, to be experiencing now, not lost in thought, not gone somewhere else mentally, but here, present, aware. This is life. This is actual living. This is what it means to be alive and conscious, to be present for your own life, to experience your own experience, to be here for this moment. This is what meditation trains. This is what meditation provides, the capacity to be present, to be here, to be aware, to experience now. This is the gift. This is the benefit. Presence, being here, being now, being aware. This is everything. There's life actually happening, real life, actual experience, not thoughts about life, not mental simulations of life, not memories or plans or worries or fantasies, but actual life, real experience, happening now, sensation, perception, awareness, breathing, being, living. This is life. This is what's actually happening. This is real. This is present. This is available when you're here, when you're present, when you're aware of now. Life is happening, and you're here for it. You're experiencing it. You're present for your own life. This is the gift of presence. This is what meditation provides. Access to your actual life, not your thoughts about life, but life itself, real experience, happening now. And it's usually okay. Life, when you're present for it, when you're experiencing it directly without the overlay of thought, is usually okay. Usually tolerable, usually manageable, maybe not perfect, maybe not always pleasant, but okay, survivable, bearable. You're here, you're alive, you're breathing, you're conscious. This moment is okay. Life is okay. Not always easy, not without challenges, but okay, usually okay, when you're present, when you're here, when you're experiencing actual reality instead of thoughts about reality. Life is usually okay. This moment is usually okay. And that's enough. That's everything. That's peace. Usually manageable. This moment, whatever it contains, is usually manageable. Usually something you can handle, can be with, can experience, can survive. Thoughts tell you things are unmanageable, too much, overwhelming. But when you're present, when you're actually experiencing now, it's usually manageable. You're managing it. You're here. You're experiencing it. You're surviving it. This moment is manageable. Whatever it contains, however it feels, you're managing. You're here. You're present. You're okay. This is manageable. This moment is manageable. Life is manageable. When you're present, when you're here, when you take it one moment at a time, this moment, just this moment, which is manageable, which you're managing right now, usually bearable. This moment is usually bearable. Usually something you can bear, can tolerate, can experience without being destroyed by it. Thoughts tell you things are unbearable, too painful, too difficult. But when you're present, when you're actually experiencing now, it's usually bearable. You're bearing it. You're here. You're tolerating it. You're experiencing it. This moment is bearable, even when difficult, even when painful, even when not what you want. You're bearing it. Right now, this moment is bearable. Life is bearable. One moment at a time. This moment. Just this moment. Which is bearable. Which you're bearing. Right now. You're surviving this moment. Which means it's bearable. Which means you're okay. Right now. In this present moment. Even when it's difficult, it's just this moment. Even when this moment is painful, even when it's challenging, even when it's not what you want, it's just this moment, just now, just this, not forever, not all moments, just this one, this single present moment. And you can be with this moment, can experience this moment, can survive this moment, because it's just this moment, just now, not the past, not the future, not all the difficult moments you've ever experienced or might experience. Just this one, this single present moment, which is bearable, which is manageable, which is survivable, even when difficult, even when painful. It's just this moment, and you're here, you're present, you're surviving it right now. Just this difficulty, not all difficulty, not difficulty forever, not impossible difficulty, just this difficulty, this specific challenge, this particular pain, this actual experience, right now, in this moment, which is bearable, which is manageable, which is survivable, not forever, just now, just this moment. You can be with this, can experience this, can survive this particular difficulty, this specific challenge, right now. This is manageable. This is bearable. This is survivable. Just this. Just now. Not forever. Not all difficulties. Just this one. In this moment. Which you're experiencing. Which you're surviving. Right now. Not the past. This difficulty is not the past. Is not all the difficulties you've ever experienced. Is not the accumulation of all past pain. Just this. Just now. Just this present difficulty. The past is gone. Past difficulties are finished. What you're experiencing now is now. Is this? Is this specific present moment difficulty? Not the past, not old wounds being reopened, not ancient pain recurring. Just this present moment experience, which is different from the past, which is happening now, which is just this, not the weight of all past difficulties, just this one, now, which is more manageable than you think, more bearable than your thoughts suggest, because it's just this, not the past, just now, not the future. This difficulty is not the future, is not all the difficulties that might occur, is not the accumulation of all potential problems. Just this, just now, just this present difficulty. The future hasn't happened. Future difficulties don't exist. What you're experiencing now, is this. Is this specific present moment difficulty, not the future, not all possible problems occurring simultaneously, not the catastrophe you're imagining, just this present moment experience, which is different from your imagined future, which is happening now, which is just this, not the weight of all possible future difficulties, just this one, now, which is more manageable than you think, more bearable than your thoughts suggest, because it's just this, not the future, just now, only now, always now, this difficulty, this moment, this experience, right now, not past, not future, not forever, just now, this single present moment, which is bearable, which is manageable, which is survivable, which you're surviving, right now, you're here, you're present, you're experiencing this moment, and you're okay, you're bearing it, you're managing it, you're surviving it, right now, in this moment, which is just now, just this, just here, and that's okay, that's enough, that's everything, just now, which you can handle, which you are handling, right now. And now is usually okay. This is the final insight, the ultimate recognition, the liberating truth. Now, this present moment is usually okay, usually tolerable, usually manageable, usually bearable, usually not the catastrophe your thoughts describe. This moment, right now, is usually okay. And that's all you need, all you have, all there is, this moment, which is okay. And meditation brings you back to this, returns you to this recognition, to this experience, to this truth. Now is okay. This moment is okay. You are okay. Right now. In this present moment. And that's enough. That's everything. That's peace. Available always. Right here. Right now. In this present moment. Forever now. Always okay. Right here. Right now. This moment. Which is all you have. All you need. All there is. And it's okay. Now is okay. Always. Forever. Now. The best time to meditate is whatever time you'll actually do it. This is the most important principle, the most practical advice, the most useful guidance, not the ideal time, not the theoretically optimal time, not the time that works for other people or that meditation teachers recommend, but the time that works for you, the time you'll actually practice, the time you'll actually sit down and meditate. Because meditation only produces benefits if you actually do it. The best meditation schedule in the world is useless if you never follow it. The optimal time is meaningless if you never practice then. The time that matters is the time you'll actually meditate, whatever time that is, whatever fits your life, whatever you can actually maintain, that's the best time for you, for your life, for your practice. Morning works well for many people. This is true. Many practitioners prefer morning, find it effective, find it sustainable. There are reasons for this. The mind is clearer in the morning, less cluttered, less busy. You haven't yet filled your consciousness with the day's concerns, with plans and worries and to-do lists, with interactions and problems and responsibilities. The mind is relatively fresh, relatively quiet, relatively uncluttered. This makes meditation easier, makes concentration more accessible, makes presence less difficult. You're working with a clearer slate, a quieter mind, a less activated nervous system. This is valuable. This is helpful. This is why many people prefer morning meditation, less cluttered with the day's concerns. By afternoon or evening, you've accumulated mental baggage, have been thinking all day, working all day, interacting all day, managing responsibilities all day. Your mind is full, full of thoughts about what happened, what needs to happen, what you should have done differently, what you need to do next, full of plans and memories and worries and concerns. This clutter makes meditation harder, makes it more difficult to settle, more difficult to concentrate, more difficult to be present. You're working against accumulated mental momentum, against hours of thinking and doing and managing, against the day's activation. This doesn't make meditation impossible, but it makes it harder, makes it more challenging, makes it require more effort. Morning avoids this, starts before the clutter accumulates, before the day fills your mind. This is the advantage of morning practice. But morning doesn't work for everyone. This is crucial to understand, crucial to accept. Morning meditation is not universal, is not the only way, is not right for everyone. Some people function differently, have different rhythms, have different schedules, have different lives. For these people, morning meditation is not optimal, is not sustainable, is not the best choice, and that's okay. That's fine. That's normal. You don't have to be a morning person. Don't have to meditate in the morning. Don't have to force yourself into a schedule that doesn't fit your life. There are other times, other options, other possibilities. Morning is one choice, not the only choice, not necessarily your choice. Some people are not morning people. This is biological, is natural, is part of individual variation. Chronotypes differ. Some people are naturally early risers, wake up alert, function well in early hours. These are morning people, but others are naturally late risers. Wake up groggy, don't function well early, need time to become alert, need the day to progress before they're fully awake. These are not morning people, and no amount of willpower changes this completely. You can adjust somewhat, can train yourself to wake earlier, but the basic pattern, the natural chronotype, remains relatively stable. If you're not a morning person, forcing morning meditation may not work, may not be sustainable, may create resistance, may make practice feel like punishment rather than benefit. Can't wake up early. Maybe you have to wake early for work, for responsibilities, for children. But waking even earlier, waking before necessary to meditate, this may not be realistic, may not be sustainable, may not be possible given your sleep needs. Sleep is important, is essential, is foundational for health and well-being. Sacrificing sleep to meditate defeats the purpose, creates more problems than it solves. If waking early means sleeping less, means being chronically sleep deprived, then morning meditation is not the right choice. Not worth it. Not beneficial. Better to meditate later. To sleep adequately. To practice at a time that doesn't compromise your basic needs. Can't function before coffee. Many people need time to become fully awake, need caffeine, need food, need to move around, need to transition gradually from sleep to wakefulness. For these people, meditating immediately upon waking is difficult, is uncomfortable, is not optimal. You're trying to practice while still partially asleep, while your brain is still booting up, while your system is still transitioning. This makes meditation harder, makes concentration difficult, makes the practice less effective. And that's okay. That's normal. That's how you function. Don't fight it. Don't force yourself to meditate before you're awake. Have coffee, have breakfast, move around, become alert, and then meditate. This is fine. This is acceptable. This works better than forcing practice before you're ready. That's okay. These variations are okay. These differences are normal. These individual patterns are acceptable. You don't have to be like everyone else. Don't have to follow the standard advice. Don't have to meditate in the morning if morning doesn't work for you. This is okay. This is fine. This is normal. Meditation is flexible, is adaptable, works at different times, for different people, in different circumstances. Don't let rigid ideas about when you should practice prevent you from practicing at all. Don't let the perfect morning practice prevent you from having an imperfect afternoon practice. Okay is good enough. Works is good enough. Sustainable is good enough. Meditate later. If morning doesn't work, meditate later. Later in the morning after you're fully awake. Mid-morning after you've started your day. Late morning before lunch. Whenever works. Whenever fits. Whenever you're alert enough to practice. Later doesn't mean worse. Doesn't mean less effective. Doesn't mean inferior. It just means later. Means a different time. Means adapted to your life and needs and rhythms. This is practical. This is realistic. This is sustainable. Meditate later if that's what works for you. Meditate during lunch. Lunchtime can be excellent for meditation, provides a natural break in the day, a pause between morning and afternoon, a moment to reset, to center, to return to presence before continuing with afternoon responsibilities. Lunch meditation doesn't have to be long, can be brief, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just enough to interrupt the momentum of the day, to step out of doing mode, to return to being. This can be incredibly valuable, can provide a reset that benefits the entire afternoon, makes the second half of the day more present, more grounded, more effective. Lunch meditation is practical, is accessible, is sustainable for many people. Meditate in the evening. Evening meditation has its own benefits, provides transition from day to night, from doing to being, from activity to rest, helps release the day's accumulated stress, helps let go of the day's concerns, helps shift from active mode to restful mode. This supports better sleep, supports relaxation, supports the transition to rest. Evening meditation can be deeply relaxing, can be a way to process the day, to let go of what happened, to prepare for rest. This is valuable. This is beneficial. This is a legitimate time to practice, not inferior to morning, just different, serving different purposes, supporting different aspects of life and well being. Meditate before bed. Right before bed is another option, can be combined with preparing for sleep, can be part of your bedtime routine, can support falling asleep, though be aware that meditation before bed might make you sleepy during meditation, might blur the line between meditation and sleep. This may or may not be what you want. If you're using meditation to develop awareness and concentration, becoming sleepy is counterproductive. But if you're using meditation to relax and prepare for sleep, becoming sleepy is fine, is actually beneficial, is exactly what you want. Know your intention, know what you're trying to develop, and practice accordingly. But before bed is a legitimate time, is a real option, is available if it fits your life. The best time is the time that fits your life. This is the fundamental principle, the core guidance, the most important consideration, not the theoretically optimal time, not what works for other people, not what meditation books recommend, but what fits your actual life, your actual schedule, your actual responsibilities and commitments and patterns. You have a life, a real life with demands and obligations, with work and relationships and responsibilities. Meditation has to fit into this life, has to work with your schedule, has to be realistic and sustainable given your actual circumstances. The best time is the time you can actually maintain, the time that fits, the time that works for you, for your life. The time you'll actually practice. This is what matters. This is what determines benefit, not the ideal time, not the perfect time, but the time you'll actually practice. Because meditation only works if you do it, only produces benefits if you practice. The most perfect schedule is useless if you never follow it. The optimal time is meaningless if you never practice then. What matters is actual practice, actual meditation, actually sitting down and paying attention. And that happens at the time you'll actually do it. Whatever time that is, whenever you'll actually practice. That's the best time, the right time, the time that matters. Consistency matters more than timing. This is crucial. More important than when you practice is that you practice regularly, consistently, with some degree of regularity and pattern. Consistent practice at a suboptimal time is more beneficial than inconsistent practice at the optimal time. Regular practice in the evening is more effective than occasional practice in the morning. Daily practice during lunch produces more benefit than sporadic practice at dawn, because the benefits of meditation accumulate through repetition, through regularity, through the systematic, repeated training of attention and awareness. Occasional practice, even at the perfect time, doesn't allow this accumulation, doesn't provide the repetition needed for training, doesn't create the conditions for neural changes and habit formation. But consistent practice, even at a less than perfect time, does provide these things, does allow accumulation, does create training effects, does produce lasting change. Better to meditate at a suboptimal time consistently than to meditate at the optimal time occasionally. This is a practical truth, a realistic assessment. If the optimal time for you is morning, but you only practice once a week in the morning, that's less beneficial than practicing every day at lunch. The daily practice, even though not at the theoretically optimal time, provides more benefit, more training, more repetition, more accumulation of effects. The occasional optimal practice doesn't provide these things, doesn't create the conditions for lasting change, because meditation is training, is skill development, and skill develops through repetition, through practice, through doing it again and again. Consistency creates this repetition, creates the conditions for development, creates the accumulation of benefit. So choose consistency over optimal timing. Choose sustainable over perfect. Choose what you'll actually do over what you theoretically should do. Find a time that works. Experiment. Try different times. See what fits your life, what feels sustainable, what you can actually maintain. Maybe it's morning, maybe it's lunch, maybe it's evening. Maybe it's different on different days. Maybe weekdays are different from weekends. Find what works, what fits, what's realistic, not what should work, not what works for others, but what actually works for you, for your life, for your schedule, for your patterns and preferences and circumstances. This is individual, is personal, is specific to you. Find your time, your schedule, your pattern, and commit to it. That fits your schedule, your actual schedule, your real schedule, the schedule you actually have, not the schedule you wish you had, not the schedule you'll have someday, not the schedule you'd have if circumstances were different, but your actual current schedule, with its actual demands and obligations, with its actual constraints and realities. Meditation has to fit into this schedule, has to work with these constraints, has to be realistic given these realities. So look at your actual schedule, see where there's space, where there's possibility, where you could fit in practice, and use that time, whatever time it is, whenever it fits. That's your meditation time. That you can maintain. Sustainability is key, is essential, is what determines long-term benefit. A schedule you can maintain for weeks and months and years is more valuable than a perfect schedule you can maintain for days. Because meditation benefits accumulate over time, over extended time, over months and years of practice. A few weeks of practice produces some benefit, but sustained practice over months produces much more. Over years produces even more. The benefits compound, build, accumulate, but only if you maintain practice, only if you sustain the habit, only if you keep practicing over time. So choose a schedule you can maintain, a time that's sustainable, a pattern that fits your life well enough that you can keep doing it. Not just for weeks, but for months, for years, for the long term. And practice then. Actually practice. Actually do it. At your chosen time. With your chosen schedule. Show up. Sit down. Meditate. This is what matters. The decision about when to practice is secondary. The actual practice is primary. You can spend forever optimizing your schedule, finding the perfect time, creating the ideal conditions, but if you don't actually practice, none of it matters. None of it produces benefit. What matters is practice, actual meditation, actually paying attention, actually being present, actually training awareness. This happens when you practice, when you actually sit down and do it. So practice. At your chosen time, with your chosen schedule, practice then. Actually do it. This is what produces benefit. Every day if possible. Daily practice is ideal, provides maximum repetition, maximum training effect, maximum accumulation of benefit. Daily practice creates strong habits, creates consistent neural changes, creates reliable effects. If you can practice daily, do. If your schedule allows it, if your circumstances permit it, practice every day, even briefly, even for just a few minutes. Daily repetition is powerful, is effective, is the fastest path to sustainable change. So aim for daily if possible. Make daily practice your goal, your intention, your commitment, and follow through as often as you can. Most days if not. But perfection is not required, is not necessary, is not realistic for most people. Life happens. Circumstances change. Some days you can't practice. Some days it doesn't work out. And that's okay. That's normal. That's being human. Don't let missing a day derail you. Don't let imperfection make you quit. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Practice most days. If you can't practice every day, practice most days. If you miss a day, practice the next day. If you miss 2 days, practice on the third. Keep coming back. Keep returning to practice. This persistence matters more than perfection. This consistency matters more than never missing. Most days is good enough. Most days produces benefit. Most days creates change. Aim for daily, but accept most days. This is realistic. This is sustainable. This is how long-term practice actually works. Regularity creates habit. This is basic behavioral science, basic psychology. Repetition at consistent times creates habits, creates automatic patterns, creates behaviors that become easier over time. When you practice at the same time each day or most days, your brain begins to expect it, to anticipate it, to prepare for it. The behavior becomes automatic, becomes part of your routine, becomes something you do without extensive decision making or willpower. This is the power of habit. This is what regularity creates. And this makes practice sustainable, makes it easier to maintain, makes it something you do automatically rather than something you have to force yourself to do. Habit creates practice. Once the habit is established, once meditation is part of your routine, practice becomes easier, becomes more reliable, becomes more sustainable. You practice because that's what you do at that time. That's your routine, your habit, your pattern. You don't have to decide each day whether to practice. Don't have to motivate yourself. Don't have to overcome resistance. You just practice because that's what you do. This is the power of habit. This is what makes long-term practice sustainable. Habit creates consistent practice, creates reliable practice, creates practice that continues regardless of motivation or mood or circumstances. This is what you want. This is what regularity creates. This is why consistent timing matters. Practice creates benefit. This is the final step, the ultimate goal, the reason for all of this. Practice creates benefit. Actual meditation produces actual effects, changes the brain, changes behavior, changes experience, reduces suffering, increases well-being. All the planning and scheduling and habit formation are in service of this, in service of actual practice, which creates actual benefit, which changes actual life. This is why you practice, why you create habits, why you find sustainable schedules, because practice creates benefit, and you want the benefit, want the changes, want the reduced suffering and increased well-being, so you practice consistently, regularly, sustainably, and the practice creates benefit, real benefit, lasting benefit, benefit that accumulates over time through sustained practice. And don't wait for perfect conditions. This is perhaps the most important practical advice, the most valuable guidance for actually starting and maintaining practice. Don't wait. Don't delay. Don't put off practice until conditions are perfect, because perfect conditions never arrive, never exist, are always somewhere in the future. If you wait for perfect conditions, you'll wait forever. You'll never start. You'll never practice. You'll never receive the benefits. So don't wait, don't delay, don't require perfection before beginning. Start now. Start in whatever conditions you have. Start imperfectly. This is the only way to actually practice, the only way to actually benefit. Don't wait until you have a meditation room, a dedicated space, a special room set aside only for meditation. This would be nice, would be lovely, would create ideal conditions. But it's not necessary, not required, not essential for practice. Most people don't have a meditation room, don't have space in their home for a dedicated meditation area, and they practice anyway. They meditate anyway, in their bedroom, in their living room, in a corner of their office, wherever there's space, wherever they can sit. This works. This is fine. This is sufficient. You don't need a meditation room, don't need dedicated space, don't need ideal physical conditions. You need willingness to practice. That's all. So don't wait for a meditation room. Practice in whatever space you have. A special cushion, special equipment, a zafu and zabuton, a meditation bench, a special chair. These things are nice, can be helpful, can make practice more comfortable, but they're not necessary, not required, not essential. You can meditate sitting on a regular chair, on your bed, on a couch, on the floor with a regular pillow, on anything that allows you to sit with some stability and alertness. Special equipment is optional, is enhancement, not requirement. So don't wait until you have the perfect cushion, the ideal equipment, the right setup. Practice with what you have, on whatever you can sit on. This is sufficient. This works. This is enough. A perfectly quiet environment. Silence. No noise. No distractions. Complete peace. This would be ideal, would make practice easier, would create optimal conditions. But it's not realistic. Not available to most people. Not how life actually is. Life is noisy, is full of sounds, is full of activity and movement and stimulation. If you wait for perfect silence, you'll rarely practice, because perfect silence rarely exists, especially in normal life, in homes with families, in apartments with neighbors, in cities with traffic. Perfect silence is not available, and it's not necessary. You can practice with noise, can meditate with sounds present, can develop awareness in imperfect conditions. So don't wait for perfect silence. Practice in the noise, in the sounds, in the imperfect acoustic environment you actually have. Complete peace, no interruptions, no demands, no responsibilities, total freedom from obligations. This would be wonderful, would create ideal practice conditions, would make meditation easy and pleasant, but it's not realistic, not how life works, not available to most people most of the time. Life is full of interruptions, full of demands, full of responsibilities and obligations. If you wait for complete peace, for total freedom from demands, you'll never practice, because those conditions almost never exist, except perhaps on retreat. But daily life is not retreat. Daily life is messy and demanding and full of interruptions, and you can practice anyway, can meditate anyway, can develop awareness in the midst of life. So don't wait for complete peace. Practice in the chaos, in the demands, in the messy reality of actual life. You'll wait forever. This is the truth, the reality, the inevitable result of waiting for perfect conditions. You'll wait forever. Perfect conditions never arrive, never exist in sustained form, never become the stable reality you're waiting for. There's always something, always some imperfection, always some reason to delay. If you require perfection, you'll never practice, never start, never receive the benefits. So don't wait. Don't require perfection. Don't delay until conditions are ideal. Start now. Start imperfectly. Start in whatever conditions you have. This is the only way to actually practice. Perfect conditions never arrive. This is not pessimism, not negativity, just reality, just how life actually works. Life is imperfect, is messy, is always somewhat chaotic and suboptimal. Perfect conditions are a myth, an ideal that doesn't exist in reality. There are better conditions and worse conditions, more supportive environments and less supportive environments, but perfect, never. Perfect never arrives, never exists, is always in the imagined future. So stop waiting for it. Stop requiring it. Stop letting the absence of perfection prevent you from practicing. Accept imperfection. Accept suboptimal conditions. Accept reality as it is, and practice anyway. Life is messy. This is fundamental, is basic, is how life actually is for everyone. Life is not neat, not organized, not perfect. Life is messy, is complicated, is full of competing demands and imperfect circumstances, is full of noise and interruptions and distractions, is full of responsibilities and obligations and constraints. This messiness is not a problem to solve, not a condition to overcome before you can practice. This messiness is reality, is life, is the context in which you practice. Accept it, work with it, practice within it. This is realistic. This is sustainable. This is how practice actually happens in real life. Is noisy. Life is full of sound, traffic, neighbors, family members, electronics, construction, music, conversations, appliances, nature sounds, all of it constant, all of it present, all of it part of the actual acoustic environment you live in. You cannot eliminate this, cannot create perfect silence unless you go somewhere specifically designed for silence. And even then, there's sound. So accept noise, accept sound, accept that meditation happens in the presence of auditory stimulation. This is fine. This is workable. This is actually valuable training. because you're developing the capacity to be present in actual conditions, in real environments, in the noisy reality of daily life. Is imperfect. Every condition is imperfect. Every environment has flaws. Every situation has suboptimal elements. Your chair isn't quite comfortable enough. The lighting isn't quite right. The temperature isn't ideal. There's some noise, some distraction, some imperfection. This is always true, will always be true. Perfection doesn't exist, so stop waiting for it. Stop requiring it. Accept imperfection. Accept that practice happens in imperfect conditions, because those are the only conditions that exist, the only conditions available, the only conditions real. Meditate anyway, despite the noise, despite the distractions, despite the imperfect conditions, despite the messiness. Meditate anyway. Practice anyway. Sit anyway. Pay attention anyway. This is the key. This is what makes practice sustainable. Not waiting for ideal conditions, but practicing in real conditions. Not requiring perfection, but accepting reality. Not delaying until everything is right, but starting even when things are wrong. Meditate anyway. This is courage. This is commitment. This is realistic practice. Meditate in imperfect conditions, in noise, in discomfort, in distraction, in whatever conditions you actually have. This is where real practice happens. Not in perfect silence on a meditation cushion in a dedicated room with ideal temperature and lighting, but in your actual home, in your actual environment, with your actual circumstances, imperfect and messy and real. This is where you practice. This is where benefit develops. This is where capacity grows. In imperfect conditions, in reality, in life as it actually is. Meditate with noise, with sounds present, with auditory stimulation. This is training, is practice, is development of capacity. When you can meditate with noise, when you can be present despite sounds, you're developing real capacity, capacity that transfers to daily life. Because daily life is noisy. If you can only meditate in silence, you're developing capacity that only works in silence, which is rarely. But if you practice with noise, you're developing capacity that works in noise, which is constantly. This is more valuable, more practical, more applicable. With interruptions, with people talking to you, with doorbells ringing, with phones buzzing, with demands arising, with life happening. This is reality. This is how life is, full of interruptions, full of unexpected demands, and you can practice anyway. Can maintain some continuity of awareness despite interruptions, can return to meditation after dealing with whatever arose. This builds real capacity, resilient capacity, capacity that works in actual life with its constant interruptions and demands, with discomfort, with physical sensations that aren't pleasant, with minor pain, with restlessness, with the urge to move, with the discomfort of stillness. This is valuable training. This teaches you that discomfort is tolerable, is survivable, doesn't require immediate response. This capacity transfers, becomes the ability to tolerate emotional discomfort, mental discomfort, the discomfort of difficult situations. You learn through practice that you can be present with discomfort, can observe it without having to fix it or escape it immediately. This is valuable. This is liberating. This develops through practicing with actual discomfort, not by waiting for perfect comfort. This is actually better training, more realistic, more applicable to real life. If you can only meditate in perfect conditions, you'll rarely meditate and rarely be present in daily life. But if you practice in imperfect conditions, in noise and distraction and discomfort, you're training the capacity to be present in real conditions, in actual life. This capacity transfers, becomes the ability to be present at work, at home, in relationships, in challenging situations. This is what you want. This is what's valuable. Not the ability to be present only in perfect conditions, but the ability to be present in any conditions, in all conditions, in life as it actually is. This develops by practicing in imperfect conditions, by meditating despite noise and distraction and discomfort. This is better training, more valuable training, training that actually benefits your life, more realistic. This is how life actually is, noisy, distracting, imperfect. If you practice in these conditions, you're practicing in realistic conditions, conditions similar to your actual life. This makes the practice more applicable, more transferable, more relevant. You're not developing a capacity that only works in special conditions. You're developing a capacity that works in ordinary conditions, in real life. This is realistic training, training that prepares you for actual challenges, actual situations, actual life, more applicable to real life. The capacity developed through imperfect practice applies to real life, transfers to daily situations, works in actual circumstances, because real life is imperfect, is noisy, is full of distractions. If you can be present in meditation despite these things, you can be present in life despite these things. The capacity is the same. The training transfers. This is the goal, not to be able to meditate in perfect conditions, but to be present in actual life, in real situations, with real challenges. Practice in imperfect conditions develops this applicable capacity. If you can only meditate in perfect silence, you'll rarely meditate. This is practical reality. Perfect silence rarely exists, is rarely available, especially in normal life, in homes, in apartments, in cities. If you require perfect silence, you'll have very few opportunities to practice. Maybe early morning before anyone wakes, maybe late at night after everyone sleeps, maybe never. So requiring perfect silence means rarely practicing, rarely developing capacity, rarely receiving benefit. This is not sustainable, not practical, not realistic. And you won't develop the capacity to be present in normal life. This is the deeper problem. If you only practice in perfect conditions, you only develop capacity that works in perfect conditions. But life is not perfect conditions. Life is normal conditions, imperfect conditions, noisy, distracting, challenging conditions. You need capacity that works in these conditions, capacity that functions in real life. And you develop this by practicing in imperfect conditions, by meditating in noise, by being present despite distractions. This develops transferable capacity, real capacity, capacity that benefits your actual life. But if you practice in noise, in chaos, in imperfection, you're training the capacity to be present in real conditions. This is valuable. This is practical. This is what you need, not the ability to be present only when everything is perfect, but the ability to be present when everything is imperfect, when life is messy, when conditions are challenging, when noise and distraction and demand are all present. This capacity develops through practice, through practicing in imperfect conditions, through meditation in noise and chaos and imperfection. This is realistic training. This is applicable training. This is training that actually benefits your life. In actual life, not in ideal conditions, not in perfect circumstances, not in retreat environments, but in actual life, in your actual daily environment, with your actual circumstances and challenges and conditions. This is where you need to be present. This is where capacity matters. This is where benefit appears, in actual life. And you develop this capacity by practicing in actual life, in actual conditions, imperfect and messy and real. This is more valuable than perfect practice in perfect conditions. This is more practical than ideal meditation in ideal circumstances. This is what works. This is what matters. This is what creates sustainable benefit. This is more valuable. Practice in imperfect conditions is more valuable than waiting for perfect conditions because it actually happens, actually creates practice, actually develops capacity. Perfect conditions that never arrive create no benefit, produce no practice, develop no capacity, but imperfect practice actually happening creates real benefit, produces real practice, develops real capacity. Imperfect practice is infinitely more valuable than perfect conditions that never arrive, because it's real, because it happens, because it produces benefit. More practical. Practicing in available conditions is practical, is realistic, is sustainable, because available conditions are always available, are always present, are what you have. Practicing in available conditions means you can practice, can actually do it, can maintain regular practice. This is practical. This is realistic. This is what works in real life. Not waiting for ideal conditions, but practicing in real conditions. This is practical meditation, practical training, practical development of capacity that actually benefits your life. More applicable. The capacity developed through imperfect practice applies broadly, transfers widely, works in many contexts, because you've trained in varied conditions, in imperfect conditions, in realistic conditions. This capacity transfers to varied life situations, to different contexts, to challenging circumstances. This is applicable capacity, useful capacity, capacity that actually benefits your life in practical ways. Not just your meditation, but your actual daily life, your relationships, your work, your responses to challenge. This is what develops through practicing in imperfect conditions. So don't wait for perfect conditions, don't delay, don't require ideal circumstances, don't let imperfection prevent practice. Start now, start imperfectly, start in whatever conditions you have. This is the only way, this is what works, this is how sustainable practice develops. Through starting, through practicing, through showing up despite imperfection. So don't wait. Start now, in whatever conditions you have, and practice. This is enough. This is everything. This is how meditation becomes part of your life. Through practicing now, in reality, imperfectly, sustainably, actually.